useless at things. So you look great.
So, people, we are back again with the All Things Arsenal show with special guest Jez and Kenny. Kenny, how are you doing? Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I'm doing quite fine because I managed to secure. Me and the wife have secured tickets for the Dillian White Tyson Fury fight because, as you know, boxing is my other love as well. But in terms of the football, it's been quite well. We're going to lot to be discussed because there's a lot of people have now made us the favourites for the top four. We still have numerous concerns with the team, and then you've got the situation with those guys losing the FA Cup tie against Middlesbrough, which doesn't surprise me. And then you've got the situation with Chelsea, and you've got the war as well. So there's loads of things happening in football, and it's all kind of interlinked.
Yeah, absolutely. Jez, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm feeling a lot better from last week, to be fair. As I said to you, Gracie, when I went on to excuse me, Del Boy's channel the other night, and I was looking at it, I thought, Christ, you were dead. I was so white. I was like, and I know I'm feeling a lot better now. Still got the cold, it's still here, but I'm no longer positive. So that's good. So it's move on.
Exactly, we move on, and colds are just about as long as our game against Wolves. Let's be fair. We got the win in the end, but as we all know, slow performance, slow start, and a 2-1 victory, as I predicted. May I add, I'm on a 2-game streak here. I'm gonna keep it going. See if I can keep guessing. But I just didn't think the oomph wasn't there. It was there in parts. But that first goal, so silly to concede. Like, I was watching it back. I missed the first half because I was away at an event, and I watched it and I was like, come on, Ramsdale, what are you doing? You're coming out, not blocking it, stupid back passes again. And it led to a goal. But we managed to claw it back. And let's start with Jez. What did you think about it?
Poor first half, wasn't it? Poor. It was lackluster. No, it didn't seem to have any direction to me. But second half, Pepe's injection. Who knew? Who knew what Pepe can do? I think we've all been saying, all three of us here have been saying for some considerable time, let's give this guy some game time and see what he can prove. And he did. So, made a big difference. Sloppy end, to be honest. I had it as 2-0. You got it right, Gracie, at 2-1. There was, the second half looked a totally different team, to be fair. But there's still some weaknesses here. Some weaknesses.
Yeah, absolutely. And my player, Pepe, we've all been saying it. Beautiful goal, the finesse on it. And there was a brief moment where you see Arteta's face, he just drops. And then he celebrates because he knows he's done wrong again. But Kenny, what did you make of the Wolves game?
You know what? Throughout the game, before we scored, I had people around me, and they were very, very critical of the players. Not so much the managers, but the critical of players. They're critical of Wolves because they were taking a lot of time. But the first half, I was very surprised that it wasn't 3-0 to Wolves because they just absolutely played us to the park, won the midfield battle conclusively, easily. And then I was coming out of the toilet and I just saw He-Man, I don't know, sorry about the pronunciation, go through, and I thought, oh no, not 2-0, please, please, please. And I just saw a little deflection of the goalkeeper. And I thought, right, Wolves are going to mean business. They're going to take us out of the game. But the second half, they just sat back. They started playing for the point. And I think that kind of encouraged us because they were really compact. And what was needed, as Jason yourself says, was Pepe, because he just changed the whole state of the game because we're real predictable in our attack. And everyone's saying that Odegaard had a great game and he was our man of the match. Well, no, he wasn't. The guy who actually affected the game and changed things was Pepe. And in my eyes and Jay's eyes, that was the man of the match. And you're right. What you both say about the concerns is that yes, we won 2-1, and showed that we got some resilience about us. But the biggest concern is that without Partey in midfield. And without that sort of player can unlock the door with quick feet, I do worry about us because the way we played throughout the whole game, I can see teams either holding out to 0-0s or the better teams thinking thanks mate and just being more ruthless and Wolves.
Yeah, and I think it was just, I tell you what, that goal, Lacazette, own goal, but I tell you what, I screamed. I absolutely jumped up and celebrated. And after I was like, why am I celebrating this? It's not even a big deal. I screamed so much. And it's those moments where I'm like, I miss those moments when it's been just grueling, like painfully just sitting there waiting for a goal to happen. And then that happened. It's like, reminds me why I'm an Arsenal fan in those moments. It's the pure passion you saw on Lacazette's face. He meant it. He wanted it. And a recent change I've seen is actually that passion and fight is coming back slowly, and the players they're wanting to win games again, which I definitely think we've been lacking recently. I think Jez, you said it the other night perfectly. It's that fight and desire that gets you places. And
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. If you haven't got excuse me, if you haven't got drive and ambition and play with intensity, then you achieve nothing. And we constantly hear, you, Gracie, Kenny, hears it, I hear it, from people in chat that, oh, this player did this player did that. Yeah, but he worked hard. He worked hard tonight. Well, I expect every player to work hard every game. I'm sorry, you're a professional, a very, very fit professional, and you're being paid a damn big load of money. So I expect you to work hard. I don't expect you to stand there strolling around. I want to see intensity. I want to see passion. I want to see you playing for that club badge. I want to see you playing for the club. I want you to see you playing for the fans. That's what I expect to see. Now, if I see that and you deliver, brilliant. Now, we all know players can play their hearts out and have a bloody awful game. We've all seen it over the years. Yeah. I've seen Henry run his nuts off and have an awful game. Happens. Yeah. I've seen Vieira run his nuts off and look like a complete idiot in midfield. But you're giving your all. I don't expect to see players turning up and be lackluster. And that's what I expect as an Arsenal fan. Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes you see people in the chat, oh, he worked hard. Oh, he tried hard. No, that's not good enough. I expect 101%. There's a guy the other day on Del Boys channel the other night. I don't know if you were there at the time, Gracie, but this guy was like making out, you can't expect a player to play well every week. Well, I expect a player to try hard every week. And yes, I agree. You can't play well, maybe 1 in every 6 games, but I don't expect a player to be crap every week. And I could name quite a few Arsenal players that are crap every week.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're getting paid to turn up. That's like me, you, yourself, Jez, and Kenny turning up to work and be like, "Nah, I'm good today. I'm not going to do much. Maybe next week. I'm still getting paid 200,000 a week. Like, at the end of the day, you're getting paid ridiculous amounts to try. And these players, when they first join the club, they're like, I'm here to win, I'm here to fight for every game. Yet they're inconsistent every week. It doesn't make sense. And one of these people I'm gonna kick off with is Odegaard.
Yes.
Obviously, fantastic December, but since then he's been invisible in my eyes. Kenny, what are your thoughts on Odegaard, and would you keep playing him?
Well, the thing with Odegaard is that it's like he's an acquired taste because all three of us, need a lot of convincing. But if you go on other, outlets, you speak to other fans, and they think he's having a good game. There's still a school of thought that, if you look at our 2 games against Wolves and you look at our game against Brentford, they tend to ignore the sort of like the contributions of Partey, the fact that he actually won the midfield battle and he's now our senior midfield. And you look at and you neglect the other players, maybe some of our defenders like Gabriel, but Odegaard is just like it's like they want the new Mesut to come through at the club and play well. So, for instance, they annoy him and go, "Oh, did you see how he played today?" And let's face it, in the second half, he did show a lot of passion. He was getting annoyed with Wolves wasting time. He was shaking his fist, going to the crowd and giving it all. And that's very impressive, very passionate. But in terms of like his numbers and everything, with a player that I feel that should, do more in the last third, he has to do this consistently. As you said, he had an excellent December, but January, I thought, there was issues with his illness, but I thought he was out of his depth in certain games, and he's playing his way. But there's no way whatsoever that he's one of the reasons why we're doing better. The coincidence for me is when Thomas Partey came back fit and well, firstly from the African Cup of Nations, and he's finally eclipsed our pace, acclimatised to the pace of English football. I think right now, if you ask me, who is Arsenal's genuine top class player, I'll say him. Others may not agree.
No, I would agree with that.
I would agree.
Since he's come back and, since he's been completely injury-free, he's fit, he can keep up, he's been involved in some really key moments for us. And our midfield recently, it's not perfect. Obviously, nothing's perfect, but it's not where you want it to be. But I've seen a foundation there, and it's looking like we have more of a midfield. Before, I just used to seem to rip it apart and just run straight through it like it didn't even exist. But since he's started to really, I think he's gaining more confidence as well. The more and more games he plays, he's gaining that confidence, and he's putting in like fantastic shifts, and hopefully he can keep it up, and hopefully he doesn't pick up another injury, because we know what he's like with them. It seems to be quite consistent with that. But 100% I would play Partey most games. 100%. I don't see a reason why not to.
Trust me, the team. I think it's probably going to move away. A lot of people, amongst their scribes or wannabe scribes, do say that when they justify Aubameyang being sold, basically told to leave and go to Barcelona, they were saying, and I suppose they got a bit of a point, that maybe the team was growing away from Aubameyang. All right, fine, but these scribes do give Xhaka a lot of praise, and they say that he's our midfield. Well, no. Our midfield is moving away from Granit. If you look at the game against Wolves, when we were struggling and when we were in the ascendancy, it was Granit who was pushing up. He wasn't the one looking around being the sort of boss of midfield like he was before. That was Partey. So that shows it's moving away from him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jez, I want to bring this question to you while we're on the topic of the midfield. How do you see our midfield being improved? Would you bring someone in? Would you have a current player that we have on the bench? Would you bring them in over Xhaka?
Over Xhaka?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, yeah. Well, let's put it right. You know what I feel about Xhaka. I think the guy's a liability. I've got no regard for the bloke as a player. He's disrespectful. He has caused us so many issues. And the sad point is here that we've sold a player today, Guendouzi.
Yes, I've literally just seen the news come up on
£8
that.
million quid. Now, a player that got outed again by Arteta for doing whatever he did. A young, up and coming, I think will be a great player in the future. Give him 5 years. And we are stuck with Xhaka, who, in my belief, shouldn't be at this club after the disrespect he did to the club and the fans, and the petulance of him getting sent off so many times, costing us games. So that is a sad indictment of Arteta again. As to your question, who could we bring in to replace Xhaka in our current squad? Well, who have we got? We've got Lokonga. When he first came to Arsenal, I thought this guy looks decent. Since then, he's dropped away a bit. El Neni, no. We play Partey, so we can't replace Xhaka with Partey. Or could we? Maybe we could. Take Xhaka off, Partey there, have ESR and Pepe playing regularly. That, I think, would be a good partnership. But let's get it right. We have got to look at where we are going. If we get top 4, and it's highly possible we could get top 4 with the teams around us fading away, Tottenham dropping us points, blah, blah. We have got to do some serious looking in transfer window in the summer. Because if we get in Champions League, we with this potential setup, and I'll say, you know, it's looking like Roma will be back in for Xhaka, and I hope he goes. I really do. But we need to do some serious investment in midfield. The defence, we've got maybe 1 or 2 defenders. Midfield needs big strengthening. And of course, we need a top striker.
Yeah.
I believe in Martinelli. I truly do. He's young. He will grow if he stays. Lack of threat. Time to go, my friend. And who else have we got? Pepe scored a goal. But we need an out striker. And it's going to be a massive battle in the summer, because you're going to have Man United, Man City, possibly Liverpool, and all the top clubs in Europe searching around. Great discussion earlier. Somebody made a point on the channel. How many teams currently in the Premier League are playing, top teams, I'm talking top teams, are playing without strikers? I mean, an out central forward striker. Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, really, let's be fair. Man United have got one, but he's basically not firing all cylinders, is he, in Ronaldo? So it's a major battle. And we've got to be in that battle. And my concern, I've been saying it all season, is can we attract those top players that we need to compete in the Champions League and in the Premier League? Because if we're not going to compete, don't bother.
Exactly. Perfectly said. How are we going to attract these players when pretty most of the top teams in the league are looking for strikers.
Mm.
So we're left with very few options here. So one of them is we go out and we buy whoever straight away, which we all know that's not going to happen. We like to take our time, go with the vibes, see what's happening. Or we try and convince Lacazette to stay, which could be a possibility, but I think it's more if we get top 4, etc., whether he'll want to stay. And it is our massive problem is attracting these players at this point. I mean, I make the argument all the time is will getting top 4, if we're not trying to compete for that title, then are they still going to want to come to us, even though we're just playing in the Champions League effectively? They're just going to get to play at the elite level, but what's the point when you're not competing for the trophy? Kenny, what are your thoughts as such with top 4? And do you think it'll even attract anyone?
Well, see, the thing is that when we were in the top 4 regularly, we weren't getting these players. We were losing that to these players because they were invariably choosing, Chelsea and Man City over us. Remember, we were the first club to scout Eden Hazard. We lost out with him. If you look at that is a major player. Remember that we were looking at players like eventually we got Cafola, but previously other clubs were in. Cafola was reluctant to come to us. He only came to us at the 11th hour. But you have there's players there was a player called Jovetic, even though he wasn't a flop, he wasn't a raring success at Man City. We were looking at him. He ended up going to Man City. So, it's one of those things where we were looking at players. And there's another player as well. He plays for Man United, he went to Chelsea, won a Champions League, left-footed player, Juan Mata. There's another one. So these are the calibre of players that when we were getting Champions League football, they were going elsewhere because it wasn't enough for them to come to Arsenal because we're in the Champions League. And I think this, as Jay says and yourself say, it's for Arsenal to be considered to be, the employee of choice, which a good person uses. You have to be more than just a Champions League team. You have to be a team that is going to win the big trophies, win the Champions League, or get to the semis at least. Win Challenge for the league, get to the league, win the league eventually. And I think that's where Arsenal's got to go. If we do get a top 4, it's not a case of everyone praising Arteta and saying, well done. No, it's a case of him now saying, right, this is my Champions League team that has got me in the Champions League. Now, sorry, lads, I'm going to have to bin you off now because I want to go to that next level and challenge for the league. So thanks for getting me there. Now, I'm going to get your replacements. And then so we get these players, the high caliber players, i.e. the top striker we need, the midfield, partner for Partey. Make sure that at right back, we get a right back. There's an upgrade on Tommy Asso. I know a lot of people praise him, but attacking-wise, he's not the best. We want the sort of right back that we want a right back like Reece James. We want a right back like Trent Alexander-Arnold. We want a left back. Kearney would do for now, but is he going to reach levels of Robertson? He better, because we're going to look for something better. This is what we need to change football. Now, if we don't get that, and we go back to being a team that's still challenged for the top 4 or challenged for Europa League, then it's not. Then our reservations about this manager and this club would be proved correct, because we want more than that. It's no good, because the thing about Arteta, and it's not personal, those results that he gets, 8th and challenge for the top 4, were okay at QPR, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, and they're very good return for West Ham. Now that's not a criticism of these clubs, but when you're talking about Arsenal Football Club, meaning an elite club, the 3rd biggest club in the country, those sort of returns were the sort of returns we would have been happy with in the 70s and 80s under Terry Newell. Since George Graham and Arsene Wenger's come to the club, our standards are raised higher, not by people like myself, Jess, yourself, and Lee. It was Arsene Wenger and George Graham did it. Yep. So we're within our rights to say, well, these are standards we should be at, because right now we are being left behind. by Liverpool, and Man City. And Man United are always going to have the money, and when they get it right and start behaving like a top club, they're going to be honest. And let's not forget Newcastle as well. So we have to be aggressive with our spending.
Yeah, and summer is, if we don't go and do some serious business at the beginning of summer, like, I mean, within a week, if we don't start then, we have no chance. Absolutely no chance, because everyone in the league is looking to strengthen their team. Prime time in the summer, and that's why I get frustrated about January, because that again, prime opportunity. Not many clubs were looking to sign players at the time, but now we move in with an even bigger problem, losing Aubameyang, even paying out to get rid of Aubameyang. I mean, I've heard reports of millions to get rid of him. Up to 7 million we're talking here, with zero profit on the end of that. So moving into that, and then, because they must have known it was going to happen. This is not something, I mean, he was in Barcelona a week. That whole week he was in Barcelona. So it's not like they knew he wasn't going to go. No one would be in this position. And it is just classic Arsenal in the past years, taking your time and then losing out on big names at the end of the day. But we're going to move on into some of the other Premier League teams. I'm going to start with Tottenham last night at the Borough, losing 1-0. And I tell you what, life was sweet, because I have northern family that live in Middlesbrough. And I was watching the game and I was rooting for Middlesbrough. I was like, come on, beat Spurs. And I tell you what, I was impressed with Middlesbrough. Like, they were absolutely, they were on it. And their midfield and just the interceptions they were making, you should have seen Harry Kane's face when he didn't get the ball. Did any of you guys watch the game, Kenny?
Yes, I did. Because someone I work with, his nephew is the Middlesbrough's right back, Isaiah Jones, and all I've been hearing,
right. He put in a fantastic performance, by the way, as well.
All I've been hearing for the last time, my nephew is with Tooting and Mitcham, and he's going to Middlesbrough, and they're finally going to give him a chance. Look out for him. And then he sent me something 2 weeks ago because he went to with his nephew to watch Middlesbrough play QPR. I said, all right, I'll watch out for him. And I thought, oh my God, Jed Spence of Nottingham Forest was brilliant, but I can now see why Jed Spence is kept out of the Middlesbrough team, because this guy's phenomenal. This guy's going all the way. But in terms of the game, sometimes, right, if you only got two top-class players in Song and Kane, and you don't have, and they happen to be your forwards, and you've got a problem, because if your midfield's average and your defence is not great, then how are you going to give them service? And I think that's what Spurs struggled with, is trying to get some service for them. And then I think Middlesbrough, it was their athleticism that really, really stood out for me, because, as you said, they were making a lot of interceptions. But when Spurs were getting tired, they were getting behind their back four. And Lloris was the busier keeper. Lloris was the one who had to be like the sweeper keeper, come out and some other things. And I think Isaiah Jones before, could have taken a game from him before, like I said, normal time. But in this injury time, it was a case of Spurs looked like subconsciously they were playing for penalties, because they just didn't look like they could break Middlesbrough down. And I think that Conte definitely's got his work cut out, because I think the Spurs that we were afraid of for a 5-year period under Pochettino, 4-year period under the Poch, isn't there no more. It's just not there. You take out Kane and Song, then it's the Spurs of before my guy Pochettino went to the club.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Conte looked flat himself. He looked like he wasn't up for it either. And throughout the game, Spurs just looked like they were lazy, sloppy, couldn't really be bothered if they got through or not. And I don't think that's the case. I'm sure they'll want to try win something to put in that empty trophy cabinet of theirs. They're brand new, state of the art, but there's nothing in it. So, Jez, did you watch the game?
I was flicking between a couple of games, to be fair. But Spurs, dearie me, we thought we were in a mess. which we are.
Yeah.
But they are in a serious mess. I think this is going to sound a stupid comment. I think Conte has highlighted how bad Spurs are. Now that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But I think his managerial ability, which is, let's get it right, it's quite exceptional with what that man's achieved, is showing what crap players Tottenham actually have. And the fact that they are in a serious issue. And they really need big investment. Can they do it?
Yep.
Have they got the money? I don't know. But I'm not going to laugh at Spurs. I'll tell you why I won't laugh at Spurs. It's because they are still, well, I don't care what anybody says, our arch rivals. But I'm not going to laugh at them because we're not a lot better, to be fair. And, you know, if we were in position of Man City, number one, winning stuff, then you can turn around and say, yeah, Spurs, you are seriously crap. We're not much better than them. We went out to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Middlesbrough have knocked out United and now Spurs. So that you have to ask a question of the two differences. Now, I'm sorry, you know, I hate Spurs with a passion. It's in the blood. It's in all of our bloods as Arsenal fans. But I'm not going to take the piss because we went out in the third round 2 years on the spin. And you have to ask the question, why did we go out third round 2 years on the spin? Maybe a common denominator there. Certain bloke called Arteta, maybe.
Yeah, it's just, and you look at the teams that are left as well. I mean, there's Peterborough, Middlesbrough, Everton, Huddersfield, Luton, and to me, I think it's brilliant that these teams from the lower leagues. This is what the FA Cup's all about, and it does prove the point of if you've got that desire and passion and you really want to win it, you can go all the way. You could beat anyone.
Gracie, sorry. The reason why I've taken photos because breaking news, and it was actually on TV. Roman Abramovich has made an announcement and a statement, and he has confirmed that Chelsea's up for sale. And he's actually confirmed everything. So it's a massive statement. Do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, please go for it.
Read it out because you know I took it from a different angle, but I thought, you know, this is obviously because you were to talk about Chelsea. So I thought let's just see if we can get something relevant. So let me see if I've taken it up right. It says. This is from Roman Abramovich. I would like to address the speculation in media over the past few days in relation to my ownership of Chelsea FC. As I've stated before, I've always taken decisions with the club's best interests at heart. In the current situation, I've therefore taken the decision to sell the club, as I believe this is in the best interests of the club, the fans, the employees, as well as the club sponsors and partners. The sale of the club will not be fast-tracked, but will follow due process. I would not be asking for any loans to be repaid. Very poignant. This has never been about business nor money for me. It's about pure passion for the game and the club. Moreover, I've instructed my team to set up a charitable foundation where all net proceeds from the sale will be donated. The foundation will be for the benefit of the victims of the war in Ukraine. This includes providing critical funds towards the urgent and immediate needs of victims, as well as supporting the long-term work of recovery. He hasn't finished now, because there's another statement as well, the last bit of the statement. So if I get this right. And he's carried on and said, Oh, sorry, my fish fingers. I've got big fingers. Sorry about that.
Mm.
Right, please not. Oh, sorry about this, Gracie. Right,
No, take time.
please know. What? Whoops. Sorry about. Whoopsie daisy. Can you imagine if I was a presenter and I was live on TV? This would be disaster.
I hate technology sometimes. I really
Yeah.
do.
Right. Please note that this has been an incredibly difficult decision to make, and it pains me to part with the club and this in this manner. However, I do believe this is the best interest of the club. I hope. Let's say it again. Sorry about this. I'm taking photos instead of getting it. Sorry about this. Right,
No
here we
worries.
go. Here we go. I hope that I will be able to visit Stamford Bridge one last time to say goodbye to all of you in person. It's been a privilege of a lifetime to be part of Chelsea FC, and I'm proud of all our joint achievements. Chelsea Football Club and its supporters will always be in my heart. Thank you, Romain. Now that's a statement, isn't it?
That is a massive statement. A massive statement,
Oh,
considering.
you put it live on your channel. I just thought, seeing that we wanted to talk about the week's games,
Yeah,
and
no, it's
obviously about
perfect.
the impending game between Luton FC and Chelsea, I had to share it with you.
No,
Tell you
absolutely.
what, Kenny, very interesting point. Sorry, Gracie.
No,
Very interesting point in that statement is that he said about, I can't quote it because I can't quote the exact words, about putting in charitable trust to help those in Ukraine.
yes.
When he is very close to Putin, that's quite an interesting comment, to be fair. And what that will bring upon a statement from Putin to him, that's interesting in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, incredible statement considering the impact it can have on him as a person. Maybe it does show his pure interest is Chelsea, and you know a lot of people don't condemn what is happening over in Ukraine. I mean, I hope everyone's safe over there as possible, and yeah, it's all wrong, and it's a shame that this type of politics it will have an effect on football. I mean, I was having a discussion today, and it said that Abramovich is worth about 9 million, and because of all the sanctions, he could go down to about not 9 billion. Sorry, he could go down to about 3 billion. So massive impacts, and you know I completely understand why who send the club. You know you got to protect the club at the end of the day. And yeah, I mean Luton versus Chelsea kicks off in just a few minutes, so it'll be interesting to see what happens at the beginning of that.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing about the whole situation regarding Chelsea Football Club is that if you look at it further, one thing Abramovich has done, he's left the club in a very very good state, in a much to extent they're now operating in the black, and to extent that they are sustainable, and he hasn't had to put any of his money in for the last like 5 or 6 years because they make their money by getting probably the best players in world football and in England, and then loaning them out.
Yeah.
So that's their budget. So if they sell like their number 2 goalkeeper for 51 million, that's part of the transfer budget. The problem Chelsea are going to have is that when these players get on and then they're relying on the owner to spend the money, that's when Chelsea may be like a normal club, they get the wrong owner.
Yeah.
Of course, you've got to remember that Putin is linked in one of his businesses to a steelwork foundation company that does help make Russian tanks.
Yeah, I mean the links are awful, and what is happening is just terrible. I want to say really quickly, everyone go over and subscribe to Del Boy if you're not already. I don't know what you're doing because me and him we've had conversations behind the scenes, and just quickly myself, Del Boy, and a channel called AFC Center, we're going to be over there running that and doing interviews in post games. Me and Del Boy are going to be helping over there. So if everyone goes over on Instagram, I'll type it in the chat in a minute. If you go _AFC_centre, go give that a follow. Get your chance to get your voice out there, and you never know where it can lead. It all happened for me in one stream. So if you're passionate about football, if you're Arteta in, Arteta out, rival team, more than welcome. But it does frustrate me with the politics side of football. I mean, it all gets dragged in, and it massively takes over as well, as you've seen. I mean, a whole club's about to change, and who knows it's going to who it's going to be sold to. You could end up someone that doesn't care at all, which is a massive shame about it. But while we're on Chelsea, let's talk about the cup final. Won by Liverpool on penalties. What a long penalties.
Yeah.
I mean, fried by Kepa in the end. Absolutely sent it to the stars and ultimately gave Liverpool the win. I didn't watch the game. What are your guys' thoughts on Liverpool winning yet another trophy? Doesn't it just prove the gap is further widening? Jez, what do you think on the win for Liverpool?
I watched the game. It was a great game for a neutral. I don't think I've ever seen so many disallowed goals in one game in my life. And they were all great goals.
Yeah.
All offside or infringed. To be fair, so VAR got them all right. The penalty shootout. My word. I don't think I've ever seen so many bloody good penalties.
Yeah.
I can understand the substitution for Mendy being taken off, but that was, to me, his penalty kick was a goal kick. You know, it's a typical goalkeeper's goal kick. I mean, that ball must have ended up down Wembley Way somewhere. I mean, as he took it, he went back like goalkeepers do, take a goal kick. So, what on dear God's earth was the man thinking of? You look at, Kenny, you've played good football. Yeah? You played good football, better standards than I've ever played at. You're always taught to keep your head over the ball. Am I not right?
Yeah, you definitely, like, for instance, it's like keep your head over the ball and like over the ball, because at the end of the day, there's a technique for, like if you want to kick it high, there's always always the same technique. Head over the ball and, like I said, place it if you must, but you have to place it in the corner of the net. You have to. Yeah. If you don't place it in the corner of the net, then it's the goalkeepers. But I think when you look at all the penalties as well, as much as goalkeepers are studying the technique of the players are studying the technique of the goalkeepers. So they're practicing putting their penalties in such and such a way. They're always the managed position, side netted, corner of the net, either left hand or right hand side, or straight down the middle with everything you've got. If you're going to hit it high, then you have to be accurate. Like you see the reason why some players blast it over the bar, because they're trying to go for that middle. And because, as you said, the head isn't over the ball, it becomes like a long kick up the field. You know what I mean? So, Jack Ramsey's
you were fortunate enough to play at Highbury, weren't you?
Yeah, because because I think what it is that like school, like secondary schools play at Highbury. So that, by the way, is one of the smallest pitches ever. If youngsters like ourselves could play on it, then it's not as massive as the Emirates. So I played the Emirates for a charity thing tournament about 3 years ago, and that's a massive pitch.
Yeah, it was a small pitch. That's why we had to go and play at bloody Wembley, if you remember.
Yeah,
because the pitch wasn't being big enough.
It's ridiculous. Just some news here. Luton Town have scored in the first 1 minute and 30 seconds of the game against Chelsea from a corner. Burke has scored it, but 3 minutes in and Chelsea are 1-0 down. I mean, it says it all. They're crumbling, as some people would say.
Are you taking some joy from that, Gracie?
maybe just a little bit, because I have quite a few friends that support Chelsea. So
Do they
it would
make
be
your
nice.
life hell?
Yes, a lot of people do these days. I mean, I rock up after a game against Emirates, and yeah, something's always said at school, being an Arsenal fan. But oh well, I always come with something a backup plan to say, and they back down pretty quickly. Let's just say, but I think we're gonna move on to the next game, which we have on Sunday against Watford. Watford, bottom of the league.
Mm.
It's not looking great for Watford. I mean, very, very sloppy games, just really lacking. And they've come back up, but it's looking like they're going to go back down pretty quickly. Kenny, what is your prediction for the Wolves game? The Wolves, Watford,
What's the
sorry.
game? You know what? You have to make us huge favourites, but one thing about the game, and I'll tell you one thing that you cannot deny it, and it's not even an opinion or prediction. It's going to be a fact. Watford are going to play out their skins. It's going to be a very difficult game. We're going to be in a fight of our lives because they're going to come at us. They're going to try and bully us in midfield. They've got some big athletic players, but they just lack the quality in front of goal. But if the thing is, Watford, no pork chops, no pork chops allowed. But like the thing with Watford is that we have a very Jekyll and Hyde relationship with that club ever since 2015. Like they knocked us out the FA Cup, they beat us in the league home and away a few times, and we've gone over there, dropped points, or won beyond a goal. And the Emirates, we've struggled to beat them as well. So on paper, we are finding a way to win games. If Watford sit back off us, then they're in deep trouble. Deep trouble. But if they come at us and don't sustain that pressure, and we hit them on a break, then they're going to be in a bit spot of bother as well. So I'm going for a very, very nerve-wracking 2-1, and I think we'll score in the last minute again.
Absolutely, I hope so. I mean, I want to keep my voice this Sunday, but you never know. You never know what could happen. Jez, what are you thinking about the Watford game?
Yeah, I agree with Kenny's sentiments there. I'm going to go with a 3-0 Arsenal. I'll tell you for why. I think Watford are desperate and they're going to come out all guns blazing. But I think we can do enough to contain them. And if Arteta picks the right front line, and I'm going Martinelli, Pepe, Partey middle, ESR, and I'll go Saka. I think we can counter them and cause them some severe pain. So I'm going to be positive, very positive, because apparently I'm never positive, I'm told. So I'm going 3-0 and move on.
Yeah,
brilliant
definitely.
Prediction. Yeah. I think I'm going to go with 2-0. Quite comfortably as well. I think we'll definitely dominate the game. Obviously, Ben Foster is going to be in goal. I mean, I just want to say I love watching his podcast. I mean, there was one with Dave. He's good. The one with David Seaman, thoroughly enjoyed that one. It was fantastic.
He's natural, isn't he?
Absolutely.
I think when he retires, he's going to definitely be a pundit. No doubt about that. Or he's going to be one of the guys in Soccer AM. No, Soccer Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. I can see him doing that. He's great. But we can't forget the first game we played against them this season. And I mean, he saved Aubameyang's penalty. I mean, that was an interesting game, and you can never underestimate Watford. I just think the position they're in right now is not looking very promising at all. They are really in the mud. That is the definition of being in the mud, people.
Yeah.
Okay, they are stuck and they can't get out of it. They've gone through managers like nobody's business this season, and it is a massive shame. They just keep going up, down, up, down, up, down. but hopefully they can turn it back around. But hopefully not against us, because I think getting that win, I mean, we will move up into the 4th position. And again, I think most of our games now, they're going to be crucial, leading towards the end. Absolutely crucial. We've got a good run of games, and I think we should just take advantage of that, pick up as many points as possible before we move into the games like Spurs and Liverpool.
You know, one of those games of Liverpool you mentioned, because, you know, like next Sunday after the Watford, it's Leicester, who won yesterday, and then you've got Liverpool as well. Go, you know, whether they like it or not, they, because of Man City dropping points, then they're going for the title as well. So that is a game where, you know, this is going to sort of give us a clear kind of sort of analysis of where the football teams are in terms of whether the players can play at that high level and beat teams of that caliber.
Yes, and not to forget, I mean, we're going to have Aston Villa at the end of this month. That's always a tricky game, and even then Leicester City, and Liverpool. So moving into those games, Watford, this game on Sunday, we really need to pick up those points. I mean, it gets a bit rosier afterwards with Crystal Palace and Brighton, but you can't afford to drop points, I think, in these positions now.
I think if you look at the games, right, you know, obviously we've got Wolves out of the way, which I thought were one of the key games, and you've got West Ham, you've got Tottenham, who are not going to let us, you know, come to their ground and take liberties, and you've got, you know, like Liverpool, you know, Man United, 100%. That's a 6-pointer, but it's a tricky games, like as you mentioned, like Villa and you know, and Crystal Palace, like. They're inconsistent, but they're one of those teams that you put the sort of, you know, hyphens on and say on their day. They're on, you know, those on their day teams who on their day everything goes right for them, and then boom, you have no answer for them, and then they'll go and lose to a team that's probably 5 places below them.
Yeah, and just while we're on the Watford game, before we begin to wrap up here, I've been thinking. Dangerous, but been thinking I would drop Saka. I've just not been seeing what I want from Saka. I keep saying it, and I will keep saying it. He is far too slow at decision making. He will run it right up to the line, and nothing will ever come of it. And it's very frustrating watching, because when Saka has the ball, he's moving, and then he'll just dribble it in. But there's nowhere to pass because the defenders will just swarm him. He'll try to cross it, and it's the same old story. It'll go out, or the goalkeeper will get it. Jez, I want to bring this to you. Would you keep Saka in for those reasons, or do you think we'd keep him and play Pepe as well?
No, all day long. Saka is too predictable at the moment. I find it so frustrating with him that he tries to do this. I've said it so many times. He tries to do this stupid move. He gets the ball. He's got total class ability. Then he tries to do this stupid nutmeg against players, which you will get away with 1 in 20. But he's got to pack this up, because he does all the hard work. Then it comes to maybe the simple fact of getting around a player, and he cocks it up, and he's just becoming predictable now. Players, you know, we have to think that in modern days, players sit down and watch their opponents probably last 3 games, and they'll look at players who I'm going to be up against. So if you're going to be up against Saka, you're going to look at what he does in his movements, and you can basically predict what he's going to do. And he needs to have some serious coaching to change this, because I totally agree with you, Gracie. It is so frustrating. He does the main work there and then just bugs it up. So, no, at the moment, I would drop him. I'd drop him out and I'd bring in Pepe. Pepe can prove his worth. I rate Pepe. A lot of people I've seen in chats and things where I've said this, No, the guy's not worth it. Not give him a go. We've never ever truly let this bird fly. Let him fly. Let him prove himself. Give him a good 8, 9, 10 game run, and I tell you what, if you do that, he'll prove it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to learn as a player as well, especially while he's young. You've got to learn that everyone's replaceable. No one's, you're never always going to be in the team unless you're Xhaka. I mean, he clearly didn't learn that a long time ago.
Oh, true.
But Saka, he is droppable, and I think he needs to learn that when you don't perform, you don't get rewarded with game time. Kenny, what are your thoughts on Saka? Would you drop him? Would you replace him with Pepe?
Well, the thing about it is that I think he's getting to his level of fitness that I thought he lost. The first few months of the season, that could have been just down to being overplayed by Southgate and Arteta, because we made him like the be on end of our team last season, and it could be an effect of the missing a penalty. But he eventually, if you overplay these players and play them no matter what, then you are shortening these guys' careers. And if you're not shortening down their careers, you're shortening down their effectiveness. And we've got to find a way to get Pepe in this side. And that doesn't have to be under, in Saka's at Saka's expense. But Saka needs to know that he's not a sure thing in the side. That we've got someone more than capable, who's, in my opinion, has got more natural football ability than him anyway. And, when teams do sit back, he is the sort of player who can unlock that door if we play him in the right way and get him in the game in the right way. I don't see any reason why, if say Lacazette gets a knock, why we don't explore playing, Pepe as a false number 9. Because he is that kind of player that has if you see, witness his goal on last Thursday, the sort of player that when he had his back to the player, the swivel, boom, in the back of the net, quick feet. If you've got quick feet in the box, then defenders don't like it. And I think he's got that kind of player, and he does look dangerous if he gets in those positions. I don't, Arteta says that, he's fresh and that he was begging to be involved after the birth of his child. Get him involved then.
Yeah, I mean, Pepe as well, he is a free kick threat. He can absolutely score some free kicks. Remember when he first came, first 2 games, wow, like beautiful free kicks. We're talking here from distance, and we need that threat. Now, Odegaard isn't offering us that right now, so we need something to replace that, because we know Odegaard can score free kicks, but he hasn't been. So what do? You go and you look for different options to supply that. 100%. If Pepe doesn't play next game, I will be furious, because he's earned it. And has Saka earned it? No, not in my opinion. So it's what it is. I'm just going to run through a couple of comments here before we begin to wrap up. So start with this one here by King Tony. Arsenal still have Liverpool and Chelsea to come. Will they be free hits again?
Ooh.
No.
No.
Never. There should never be free hits, full stop.
Absolutely. I mean, I hate that word, free hit. It's a whole new story, but we'll keep on going. The free hits will keep coming in.
Something perverse, and it's really perverse. There's a school of thought where, there's going to be a few people, some of them pork chops, are thinking, you know what, it's a good time to play Chelsea because of turmoil with the ownership and everything. Not that it's going to have an effect because they're seasoned professionals, but if there's that kind of doubt, and in the players and their minds ain't on the job, then, that game could be interesting. But, yeah, Chelsea should never be a free hit, because simply all Liverpool free hit, because you have to treat these guys as equals, not just because of the history of the club, but as players as well. It's no good saying we're a big club and then we're not treating Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool as equals. It defeats the purpose, and it's a bit of a contradiction.
Yeah, absolutely. From Christopher here, personally, I'd play Pepe on the right, Saka on the left, and Martinelli to the bench. I love Gabby, but he was terrible last week. That's a tough one. I mean, I wouldn't drop Martinelli because I feel like he's our glimmer of hope, if I'm being honest. At the end of the day, he still runs, he still supplies as many crosses as he can. I wouldn't bench him. I don't think he's deserve a bench. Jez, what do you think?
No, not at all. We said earlier in the show that every player has a bad game. Patino, let's get it right. When Patino made his debut, scored a goal.
Yeah,
Playing against Nottingham Forest was shocking.
Mm-hmm.
So last week, Martinelli was not on his game, and it happens. I could name you probably 50 Arsenal players, great Arsenal players, that have had 10 great games and then played crap for 5. But no, I wouldn't bench the guy. He is at the moment our only real proper centre forwards, if you want to call them then nowadays. The person I would drop is lack of threat.
Lack of accuracy.
He's done nothing. Entekia, what has he done?
He's awful.
He's an embarrassment. I wouldn't even have him in the squad, to be fair. In fairness, I know this is being extreme. I wouldn't bother having Eddie. I'd bring in Patino. Honestly, I would.
I mean, if you're going to put Eddie on, you might as well put Patino on. Why does he come on? And I think it goes back to when he wanted to leave. And he's saying, I want more game time. I want more game time. So I really do have a funny feeling that's something to do with it. The fact that he just wants more game time. So he's putting him on to please him. And for some reason, Arteta wants to keep the guy. Let him free. Let him go to another club. Loan him out at least.
Yeah.
And let him play some great football, because I believe he can become a good player. But he doesn't get the time at Arsenal, and we can't afford to have that time.
He's not our level anyway. He's not good enough. I think, everyone's talking about Arsenal getting the Champions League, and one of our demands, if we do get the Champions League, we do go for a higher senior player. Well, he's not. Then if Arteta's serious about wanting to be this elite manager that everyone says he's going to be, although we've seen no evidence of it, then you shouldn't even be having any Nketiah in the squad. In fact, half the players who've served you, that are serving him well, allegedly now, we certainly need to upgrade these players if we're going to challenge for the league or go to the Champions League and think, right, we're one of the contenders. Because, that team's okay, but that team ain't going to win you the league or do get you in the semi-finals of the Champions League or even the quarterfinals. So you've got to upgrade that team. And that's not a dig. That's just the level of football we saw on Sunday in a League Cup final, a competition that people think is inferior, and the level of football we're going to be seeing when the Champions League resumes the second legs.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine Nketiah going against someone like Lewandowski?
Well,
Yeah. Absolutely. We're just going to do a couple more questions here. This one's for you, Kenny. Not football related, but who will be the next England cricket coach?
Well, I want to go to Justin Langer because Justin Langer is just emotionally, he's still attached to Australia. And, you as much as you want an overseas coach, you really, what English cricket need is that I'll go for some. The thing is, there's not really many coaches out there. There's Paul Fabrice. Do you go down the route of Otis Gibson? Because he's coached for South Africa, and he's coached the West Indies. You could go down that route, and he's also got experience as well because he's a bowling coach. So I don't see a reason why you don't give him a try as well. But going to Justin Langer, I can understand it because of his success in Australia, but Australia's cricketing mentality is a lot different from English mentality, and England are not producing top-class cricketers, especially with the batting. And I think maybe someone who knows English game, like Otis Gibson, would be more suited, or maybe Gary Kirsten, but Josh Langer, you can't just go from coaching Australia to come to England. It's different, and he wouldn't last a day, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love watching cricket. I don't know a lot about it, but I love watching it. I know that much. But I think we're going to wrap it up here. So, Kenny, where can everybody find you?
Instagram at KennyKen1972. You can go on Twitter if you're not, but I mainly talk about boxing on Twitter because I think the Arsenal fan base on Twitter is not to myself. Definitely, Jez, you'll hate it, by the way. Don't know what you feel about it, but I think in terms of Twitter, there's a lot of people who, how do I say it? They're what I call velvet bullies.
I'm going to have to go on there now.
They'll bully you, but they do it with a smile because then they're nice guys on there, and everyone tells you they're nice guys, but their actions suggest that their niceness comes with how do I say it? Cement foot.
I'm going to have to go on there now, Kenny. Have some fun.
I tell you,
trust me. You just say one word. Let's just say 2 words. One beginning with L and ending in R, and they'll love you.
Absolutely, bro. Countless times my granddad was in the Facebook jail. I tell you that much. Arguing with Liverpool fans and Tottenham fans. It's absolutely hilarious how you can wind people up so fast. Jez, have you got any last words? Do you want people to find you on any social?
I'm on Insta, collins.jez. I don't do a lot on there, to be fair. I do chat to people, obviously. I tell you what, there's a couple of weirdos, to be fair. I've got this one guy following me, won't mention his name, but dear God, he won't leave me alone. I actually did say to him yesterday, if you keep on, man, I'm blocking you, because I do actually have a life. I actually don't have all day to talk to you. So, I find this social media thing just so funny. I really do, because honestly, how can you trigger people so badly that they get so upset, they get so angry and it causes this much discomfort in their lives that, I honestly have to think. Excuse me.
The thing is, Twitter's like social media is like mobile phones. You live without it, but now you can't imagine your life without it, and it takes over. And it's like, for instance, mobile phones have computers on, so you don't really need a laptop or anything. And Twitter and social medias, believe it or not, it gives people a voice, and it's free. And if I was to say to myself, what was life without social media? I know what it was like, but can I imagine a life without social media? It's one of those things you can't put the genie back in a bottle. And I think it's, what I mean? And I think where it is right now is that
sorry, I've just seen the goal from Chelsea.
Yeah, San Miguel.
Brutal,
but some people like with social media, that people are very clever retweets, and you're probably going to get the most subscribers, because I think what's happened is that one thing is true in life: whoever gets their story out first is the first to be believed, and the first to one who's going to get the appearance on the show, and that is a fact.
Facts. Yeah. Absolute facts. And that is what the All Things Arsenal show is about. Pure facts. Thank you guys for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Have to definitely do this again sometime.
Definitely.
Absolutely, thoroughly enjoyed it. It's good to talk about something other than Arsenal.
What, World Cup's coming next year? This year?
Yes.
Like by Christmas.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. It's going to be interesting. But your final words, Jez?
Looking forward to the game Sunday. 3-0 to Arsenal, I'm predicting. And as always, Gracie, it's been a pleasure coming on, and thanks for inviting me on again.
Thank you very much. And Kenny, any last words?
You know what? One of the things is that just remember one thing, right? Is that, you know, we are allowed to make up our own minds about the Arsenal and other people support Arsenal, and that, you know, it's not going to cause like an earthquake situation if you don't agree with the majority. The majority doesn't have to always be right.
Absolutely. Go with the flow, people. Be kind to each other online, is all I'm going to say on that. And Arteta out.
Arteta out always.
I'm not saying it.